Alrighty guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll give everyone a minute to get in. I'll make sure this is streaming properly. And if you can hit that thumbs up, share this with anyone that's tuning in, and we'll talk about what's going on. So just woken up really to Bitcoin retesting those lows. Morning shiver, plant Pokewood, party time. Hey James, yes. 20 minutes before work. I've got about half an hour before I've got to get a flight to Sydney. But we can talk about what's going on in the meantime. G'day from Ireland. Oof. Okay, so guys, I'll concentrate just quickly. So let's zoom in to the shorter time frames, and it looks like we're about to make new lows here. And we're right at this crucial level that a lot of people thought would hold. So let's have a look. 15-minute chart. We're starting to get pretty extended to the downside on just about every time frame apart from the weekly. So I think it bounces very, very close. Now, in the last few days, we've been talking about this level. So anywhere from sort of 5,200, psychological 5,000 number, and 4,800. Now, we're currently on Coinbase, but on Bitfinex, we're kind of right there, right around these key levels as well. But this is kind of the levels, the buy box that people have been talking about, a lot of the big traders with a lot of following. So we're waiting to see if we do get a bounce out of here. And to be honest, the majority of trading does happen on Bitfinex. So until we really break sort of 4,800 on Bitfinex on this leg down, I'm not too worried. And I actually think it's a good thing that we've got here fairly quickly. So a slow bleed and just a stair step down, that's not really what we want. We actually prefer this flush and capitulation. And if you've seen on Twitter some of the posts that are starting to come in, people that are very, very angry with crypto and throwing in the towel, and that means we're close to the bottom. So I prefer to see what we are seeing right now. And I'm going to talk about the other levels if this doesn't hold, but I think we're getting so close to a bounce. Where are we on the hourly? 15 on the RSI. On the 4 hour, we're pretty extended now as well. Down to 13, and the lows that we made were at about 10 or 11 there the other day. On the daily, we're very oversold now as well. So this is down to 12. And in terms of what is going on, I've been doing videos for members lately talking about how this is all a bit of an overreaction. Nothing really has changed for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, for a number of altcoins. This is all to do with that Bitcoin Cash and the hash wars and the tantrums. And every time Craig Wright gets ahead, Roger Ver switches more mining power back over to Bitcoin, and then Satoshi's vision drops off, even though they actually caught up and got in front at one stage today. And they've also done a reorg. So that's very interesting. Starting to see things like this, reorgs and checkpoints in case one chain attacks the other. They kind of have an anchor point where we can say, well, we know at this block this was the truth or whatever. So this is not something that's meant to be happening in Bitcoin. This is a bit of a precautionary safety measure. And I know the Bitcoin Cash guys have said that they're not actually happy about this. This isn't Bitcoin. This isn't blockchain having checkpoints and things like that. But this really is a crisis for them at the moment. Let's head back over to price. So right down there now on Coinbase. Not a lot of orders, not a lot of trading on GDAX. Majority volume is still on Bitfinex and BitMEX at the moment. I'll see if we're getting any questions coming in. Buy target 4.8. Some people were saying they'll be shocked to see it go under 3K. Small bounce, 4,500 is another level that a few people are looking at. But to be honest, if we get under 4.8 and then 4.5, there's not really a lot of support 4,000 is going to be a bit of a psychological number, but then a lot of people are looking at 3,000. But I don't think we couldn't go there straight away, as in over the next hour, 4 hours, even the next day. I don't think it's just everything would be far too oversold and too stretched. You do have to learn to enjoy the ride. Okay, so what are the next target levels that we're looking at? So at the moment, as I said, I've got a short on. A lot of people in our community are good traders now that know how to short and make money on the way down. That certainly makes these times a lot easier to get through. And just remember that all these traders that are shorting and making money, and some people call them bullies and whatnot, but all these people are going to be pushing the market higher. It's a bear market. It's a correction. They're making money on the way down. A lot of them have made a lot of money, and they're looking to pump it into altcoins and Bitcoin at the bottom. So at some stage, we see a sharp recovery. And, those altcoin prices are going to go back up at some point. So the next level that a lot of people are looking at, 4 or 5, I don't really think that's going to be strong if nothing changes. It really is 4,000. And then if we zoom right out, I think I've got all these levels marked on my other chart here. So yeah, it's really this 3,000 level here, the previous peak that a lot of people are looking at. So we've broken that long-term log trend line as well. Oh no, sorry, we're right there now on log scale. So this is the level that I thought was going to at least, if not hold, provide a really strong bounce. So this is a long-term trend line that's held for a number of years, and we're down there now retesting it, as well as that 5K, which is, sorry, where are we here? The former peak that we had run up before the China FUD last year. So it's a round number. It's a psychological number. It's a previous peak. It's the long-term log trend line. We can flush under it, but I just don't want to see a daily close candle below here. And at least I think we'd then get a bounce and start a bit of an alt season back towards 5,800 or 6,000. I think we'd see alts, if Bitcoin recovers, what's that? 15%, let's say. I think we'd see altcoins, 15%, maybe 20%. I think we'd see altcoins up 30, 40, 50% easily on that bounce. And that just gets people a little bit excited. And then we'd have to go from there. We want to see how quickly that rolls over, what sort of volume comes in. Because at the moment, people are just so fearful. And I know everyone's saying, look, I'm just over this. I'm so over all this talk of hash wars, and Bitcoin Cash are only, ruining their own reputation. How can anyone say that this is good for the space or good for them or help their claims to being the true Bitcoin? I don't see how this is good for anyone. So yeah, if we get more fear, and that's all it is, it's just fear that is gripping the market, fear of the unknown, because unfortunately newcomers, noobs that are emotional, they don't understand what's going on. So we can have this bounce and we can have another tantrum and the market roll over and go lower, but for the time being, in terms of breaking down out of this pattern, this is pretty good in terms of a flush and pretty decent volume. How long's left to go in this daily candle? About a bit over 2 hours. So this is probably going to be a higher volume candle than the other day, particularly if we get a flush. Could be even higher than this candle here. So we're starting to get into pretty significant territory, the most volume we've seen since April. And this could even be the biggest volume candle since February. If we continue lower and we have another flush, I'd expect this daily volume to really, really pick up. So what do you guys think? Are you panicking? Why? Someone's saying. Why does it have to happen? Well, Bitcoin's a volatile asset class. Cryptocurrency is disrupting huge industries. It's going to go up in price, and then it's going to get too far ahead of itself, because when it goes up in price, people get too excited and pile in. And then we have to have these pullbacks, and then we overshoot to the downside. And this cycle of human psychology has continued at least 6 or 8 times that I can remember. What level would I buy at? Well, at the moment I'm short, and I'm not going to cover my short until we see signs of a bottom, and that starts off with the smaller time frames. Even the 1 minute, if we have a real flush. And I'm looking for volume to come in, and at the moment there's no buyers stepping in, so there's no reason to cover my short. More time for dollar cost averaging. Yeah, dollar cost averaging, if you can only afford to buy $50 or $100 a week, and you want to put that into your favorite altcoins, and you're not a good trader, and you just want to get the average price during the bear market, and then you're going to sell at your average price in the bull market, all that stuff is fine, guys. Trading isn't for everyone. It can be quite difficult. Do you think this is the final capitulation? Look, in terms of what is happening right now as we speak, nothing has really changed fundamentally for Bitcoin. There's still backed, and the ETFs, we saw that ETF in Sweden or Switzerland. More people are never getting into the space. Every day I meet people whose lives are dedicated to blockchain, and all of them own Bitcoin. They're very passionate about this social movement, not just getting rich. So none of that has changed. And when Bitcoin sells off aggressively, when nothing has really changed other than fear, then that certainly tells me we are getting close. Let's look at this 1 minute chart. And this is a capitulation of sorts now, and what we want to see is one final dump and really big volume, similar to what we see here with a big wick form. And then at that stage, I would look to cover my short, and I think we're in for a pretty decent bounce if that happens. Okay, so we're below that sort of 4.8 level now on Coinbase, but majority of traders and the OGs in the space that have been around have got big accounts that have built big positions on Bitfinex. As much as we hear all this tether FUD, you guys know my thoughts on that. I think any company that works in the crypto space has issues with banks, let alone if you're a multi-billion-dollar a day volume trading company that's trying to send out millions of dollars to every country from the traders all over the world. You're going to have banking issues, and that's probably what we've seen with Bitfinex. I'm just going to sip on my coffee, guys, and read some of these comments. How do I determine there's not any buying volume? So I'm just looking at these volume bars and comparing them to previous times. So just then we looked at the previous few minutes, then we look at the previous days and what happened on those big volume days back in February during the dump, and recent buys and sells to get a feel for if there's more or less buys than there's what has happened in the past. Compared with previous capitulations, we still have 50% to drop. Well, yes and no. From 20,000 to 5,000 is a 75% correction, and that's, every big correction has been around 70 to 90% in Bitcoin. We've had a few 50% and a few sort of 30% corrections along the way, but this is starting to get pretty nasty because as Bitcoin grows and matures, the more people and more money it comes into it, the less volatile it will get. But because it's growing so big, and our target is, $100,000 or $1 million Bitcoin, disrupting all those different markets as a store of value, a medium of exchange, a currency. If we want it to grow to a huge number and disrupt that market in the future, it's going to be volatile. It can't get there at a slow grind. It's got to get there fairly quickly. Okay, so guys, I'm just going to log into a few other trading accounts here because I think there's going to be a trade that's going to be made very shortly. I think we're getting close to this capitulation. As I said, this is a good thing that we're getting here quickly. I would hate just to bleed and just go down slowly over a week. We're now down, over $1,000. Let's go back to the daily chart just quickly. So we've gone from 6 6,500, within a few days, that dead cat bounce that I spoke about the other night as well. And we're now down close to $2,000 in 5 days. So this is a capitulation. And I'm just got to get out my two-factor authentication here, guys. Sorry. Is anyone else trading at the moment? Alrighty. Let's see if we can get a trade on and make some profits together. So the 1 minute. Okay, here we go. First signs of life. First signs of buyers stepping in. And I'd be looking to close my position. This is pretty good signs here. This is going to be the biggest volume 1 minute candle we've had. And I actually think that this could be it. This could be the bottom for today. So I'm probably going to look to close my short here, depending on how this candle plays out. Yep. Yep, looking very good. Okay, so $2,000 in 5 days. People throwing the towel in on Twitter. All the usual signs of capitulation, bottom. And it doesn't mean that this is the bottom for the year, guys. We've got to wait on other evidence, the charts, to guide us. But in terms of what we want to see now is a follow-through candle, and then consolidation, and then another leg higher. But all this is looking fairly positive at the moment. And when we take into account everything else that's happening around us, so it's not just this one candle that is saying, oh, this is the bottom. We had big green candle here and decent follow through here. I mean, I guess these candles, the wicks in the moving averages, your warning sign that we're still going lower. So it's everything else. So that's the fact that, well, what's happening? What have I just described? Has Bitcoin, as the biggest exchange in the world, been hacked? Has there been a fatal flaw in Bitcoin discovered? No, there's no reason that Bitcoin should have gone down $2,000 in 5 days other than people trading on emotion and key technical levels, blah, blah, blah. So that's my thesis in the background of my mind that I've been talking about. We knew that we were going to break down, and then we kind of zoom in from that longer term perspective. And we're right here where we were expecting to find some sort of support, a bounce, all those things I just described, the long-term log uptrend line, the $5,000 psychological round number that a lot of people are going to buy at or have orders at either way, particularly people that shorted from 20,000 or 10,000. It's a nice round number to close your long-term trades at, as well as that previous high. So we've got that blue horizontal line there. So all those things line up on the daily chart, as well as the fact that we're down here, at 12 or 13 on the daily RSI. And this is the most oversold we've been since 2014 or 15. So if I zoom right back here, we're back to 2015, where the market ended that 2-year correction with a capitulation, and back in start of 2015, pretty nasty correction there as well. And that was when there was actually fear and people were very uncertain about the future of Bitcoin, if it would even work or survive or whatever. And I guess now all those retail traders are in that same vein of thought. They think Bitcoin's dead, but fundamentally nothing has changed for it. A little bit of divergence here. So what do I mean by that? A little bit, we didn't get as far down, even though price has, got a lot lower. So that's what we mean by divergence. So divergence, a lot of traders use the 4-hour. Let's have a look at the hourly as well. So, I mean, you can say that we got lower down here. in terms of an hourly RSI at 7 the other day, and we haven't got to those lows. So that means the sellers and the rate that we are selling off is getting exhausted. So they're all those little clues that I'm looking at as well. And then we zoom into these shorter time frames. So there's 5 minutes to go in this 15-minute candle, and it would be lovely to see a lot of buyers step in and end this with more volume than here. But again, it's good that we're starting to see some of these buying candles have pretty decent volume. You know, a few buyers stepped in here. If this ends green and we get more volume, it's starting to show that the bulls are starting to wrestle and win against the bears. 5 minute time frame, we're going decent volume there, not as much as we would love to see. And then while the bottom's forming, that's probably the only time I would ever use these 1 minute charts. And we can start to have a little look at what's it giving back. If we're going to start to stair step higher, well, how much of this move is it going to give back? Retrace down to the 50% and then have its next stair step higher, and then we'd probably extend it and say, well, can we form a bull flag at one of these high fib levels and start stair stepping our way higher? And can we get above these moving averages that have basically been acting as resistance the whole time? Can we get above them and start to use them to act as support, so they're bouncing up off the moving averages rather than bouncing up into them and rolling over again? This is probably most obvious here. Yeah, look at the slowest moving averages here, which is the 20 period moving average. Every time we get into it, traders are just adding to their shorts, people are selling. And on the 15 minute, we didn't even get these moving averages a chance to catch up on the 4 hour. That's how bad this and brutal this sell off was. So it just caught up. The moving averages just caught up after this huge sell off, and shorters said we're going again and smacked the market down. 9 o'clock. I better wrap this up soon, guys. But to be honest, this isn't great. We wanted to see more aggressive buying and follow through. So if we don't see that, it probably means that this is not the bottom still. So similar to here, how we saw a big candle with a big wick with the sellers selling into it, and we didn't really get a lot of follow through here. So that can change if the bulls start to show up now and aggressively buy. How many have we got tuning in? 460. Can we get it up to 400 likes, guys? We've got 50 likes. I'm not sure if there's many other people streaming at the moment. Thanks to everyone that always likes, shares, and comments. XRP and Stellar have been a lot more stable than the other coins. Now, whether or not that's because they're seen as less risky than Bitcoin and blockchain and that sort of thing, because these, particularly something, if Craig Wright's talking about attacking all these other chains, well, the chains that aren't true proof of work decentralized blockchains, and Ripple, people hate when you say it's not decentralized. Well, it's not, guys. The nodes that are running it aren't fully decentralized. Now, that's working in your favor at the moment. If people want to attack it, it's pretty hard for them to do. If someone wants to attack EOS, for example, well, there's 21 nodes that are elected. You can't do a 51% attack, or you can't use hash power to build a longer chain and attack it. So those things are working in their favor. The mature finance banking sector and those people that are kind of looking down on all this nonsense at the moment and saying, I'm pretty off put by this space, those sort of people are probably more likely to turn to something like Stellar. I actually think Stellar is a better project than Ripple, but that's just me personally. There's plenty of Ripple fans out there. Thanks to everyone that smashed that like button up to 130 from 50 a second ago. Love it. Thank you very much. Yeah, there's conspiracy theories about Ripple being the coin to rule them all. It is what it is, guys. We're building a new currency system and new money for the world. If you want that to be run by a couple of companies, that's fine. So I think there's definitely, you can trade and profit from those all you like, but that's not really the whole movement about bringing a new form of money to the world. Isn't really about having a coin that's controlled and in the hands of a few people. Yeah, people are saying they're incredibly frustrated that we're getting this low and they have run out of fiat. One of the rules I have is always keeping 10 or 20% fiat on the sidelines, no matter what. Now, that helps you when you're trading. If you make money on the way down, you can top that up and it might go to 25%. And then you can deploy another 5% when we're getting lower. But in crypto, you never know what's going to happen. There's always a shock around the corner. Every second day, every second week, something happens. And whether it's bad news for an individual project, whether it's a bloodbath for Ethereum and fear of ICOs, or one project, Funfair had that FUD about the contract bleeding tokens, the same as we saw with Oyster Pearl the other day. So we never know what's around the corner, and if you've got capital on the sidelines, you've got that freedom to deploy. And to be honest, a lot of traders, trend traders and that, aren't going to deploy those funds until they see a daily uptrend, 4-hour uptrend. They're waiting. So this isn't great. Look at the size of these red candles. So big, 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 big. And the green, the bulls just aren't really showing up. So this looks like we're going to roll over and have another leg down. Unless the bulls show up here and rescue it and propel us higher on a big next 5-minute candle. Thanks for the stream. No worries. I do love these streams. Yeah, so in terms of is this healthy for the next bull market, we've seen overinvestment. We got ahead of ourselves. Vitalik literally tweeted, "Do we deserve a $500 billion market cap right now?" Bitcoin transactions were $50. People were getting the shock of their lives when they sent $50 to a mate and it cost them $50 on top of that in fees. So we hadn't scaled at that point. Segwit's made things a lot better. We've still got a lot of work to do. Lightning Network, did it get to 5,000 channels yesterday or something? So all those things are in the pipeline. Ethereum and the Ethereum-based projects, we already have some of them implementing things like Plasma and state channels and side chains. So look, it's all there. We know this stuff works. It's just a matter of ironing out the final bugs and releasing it to the world. But did we deserve to continue to go up and just be at $50,000 Bitcoin and $5,000 Ethereum now? No, we didn't probably deserve that market cap. And all the individual projects that raised $100 million, $50 million, did they deserve to raise that much money? No. I did a video in the middle of last year before the bull run really took off called Crypto Bubble No, ICO Bubble Yes. So crypto wasn't in a bubble. It continued to go much, much higher, and I don't think it's in a long-term bubble, but I definitely wanted to make it clear that last year ICOs were in a bubble. Could the whales be... No, someone's deleted that comment. But that's the whole reason why it will take over. I mean, the very worst case scenario, I don't see Bitcoin going down to... I don't see it spending much time, like a weekly close below $5,000 on Bitfinex. So now we're down here. As long as we continue down quickly, this is actually a good thing compared to a slow bleed, as I've been talking about. But unless there's actually bad news, like something that fundamentally changes Bitcoin's picture, there's no reason we should just continue lower. And some of these calls for $1,300 Bitcoin, even $3,000 Bitcoin, maybe it gets there. Maybe it's there for 1 minute, and next thing you know, we've rallied high to $4,000, and the next day $5,000. So we might be there for a minute. We might be there under 5,000 for a day or two. At the moment, I think it's unjustified going that low when nothing has changed fundamentally. Everyone is so focused on these hash wars, and they don't really understand. People don't understand how mining works. People that have thrown 5, 6, 7 figures at this market hoping to get rich that haven't taken the time to learn about how the longest chain rule, 51% attacks, how hash rate works. And yet they're the ones that are panicking and selling at the moment, killing their own investment. Okay, so that's good there. We saw buyers step in and a nice wick here. But we need this continuation on bigger volume. We can't have these little volume candles. The bulls aren't stepping in. We need a capitulation is met with a V-shaped recovery normally. What's my fair price? Well, I think anywhere around here is fairly fair price for Bitcoin. You have the halvening coming up. Litecoin's halvening is next year. That's going to be in headlines. Ethereum are reducing that block reward. Bitcoin halvening 2020. That normally starts to get priced in the year before, which is 2019. This is the first time that there's been sort of global awareness of Bitcoin. So I think the talk of the halvening and reducing that supply, as I spoke about in Can Bitcoin Reach $1 Million, part 3, and that's kind of a 2030, anywhere from the next 10 to 20 years, I definitely think Bitcoin can get there. But I know for a few of you, this is the first time that you've been through one of these. But what Bitcoin, I think I tweeted the other day, Bitcoin rewards those people that understand it. Is Andreas Antonopoulos and CZ, obviously he's fairly wealthy, but are the people that are in this space selling that understand what's going on? They just don't take much notice of price. And I know everyone's obsessed with price and everyone's obsessed with trading, and you can get rich quicker if you're a good trader. You can also lose a lot of money faster. So what coins am I looking at? I think Binance is incredible value now. I sort of said I was happy to average down on this anywhere really under $10. I think Amisa Go is incredible value. Wow, down here near $2. Who would have thought when it got above? I think it got above $20, didn't it, at one stage? Nearly to $30, $28.60. Wow. You guys know, members know that I think this one is going to bounce the strongest and going to have some good announcements even as soon as today. Neo flushed under $10. People were paying $200 for Neo, and it's back into single digits. Might have to rebrand to AntShares, as people are joking about. Funfair, one of my favorites, down near 0.5 cent. Cardano, if you like that at $1.10, you should like it at 5 cents. That's down over 95, I'd say 96% now. So many, some of these good projects. Power Ledger has made more progress than ever. And it's down from $2.50, I think it got down to 10 cents. Walton Chain, Wabi, Nano was up at $3 something just as soon as the other day. So guys, basically everything's bleeding across the board. So the good projects look at them, they're all down between 20 and 30%. Absolutely amazing. They're going to bounce 30 to 40, 50%, even if Bitcoin has a slight bounce. Not bad. That's a decent looking candle on the 15 minute. A nice hammer forming with buyers stepping in. We've got 5 minutes left. There's still uncertainty. That if the whales had decided to step in, we'd be getting more aggressive volume here. But I just think we just need to at least have a bounce. Even if we do go lower in the next few days, weeks or whatever, I really think December is going to be fairly positive, especially if BACT comes online. It doesn't mean that Bitcoin's going to rocket higher, but it would at least provide some relief. Going down $2,000 in 5 days when nothing has really changed. Well, guys, I am going to have to go to the airport with 514 watching. Hold on, what time's my flight? Might have to book another flight. For those of you that are in Sydney, we are having a security tokens event tonight. Boarding time 9:55. Okay. Well, I will wrap it up there, guys. Thanks to everyone that smashed that like button. Look, this is healthy, but I want to see more volume come in. I want a more aggressive recovery. Otherwise, we can just be moving up into the moving averages for the next leg down. So there's not enough evidence there yet to make me cover my short, and certainly not enough evidence to say that the buyers are stepping in here. So I will talk to you tonight, Sydney. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed that and get a bit of an insight into what I'm looking at. If you want to continue this conversation, guys, join our premium group. It's $40, $39 US a month, $49 Australian, where we talk about this 24/7. We got plenty of traders in there, and I do regular updates. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I will talk to you again soon.